Hello. So in today's video, I basically wanted to talk about two things that I was looking forward to a lot for different reasons. The first one being that we got the Batman reveal for Gotham Knight made by Warner Brothers Montreal, who made Origins. They didn't make the other three Arkham games, but they made Origins. I liked Origins a lot. Never really had issues with buds like a lot of people did, and so I was looking forward to that. And then Rocksteady, who made the other three Batman Arkham games, uh, they were announcing or showing Suicide Squad for the first time. And so we got news for both, and I just wanted to kind of make a quick video here about them and see which game are you guys looking forward to more in the comments, as well as just kind of your general thoughts on both games. So for Batman Gotham Knight, basically I'm excited but worried at the same time. We got a gameplay as well as a trailer, so it's nice that we got both. Where the other game, Suicide Squad, we didn't. We only got a trailer, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But the reason I'm excited for Gotham Knight, but at the same time nervous, is that the Arkham games have been great. But one of the big, first to start with the negative, which is one of the big things on why the Arkham games have always been so fun, is the combat system, the free flow combat system, where you basically can bounce from one enemy to the other and countering and all that kind of stuff. And from what we've seen, it looked like the combat system may have been completely changed, and that may not be a thing anymore. And if we don't have free flow combat, that's a big downgrade as far as I'm concerned, because that's one of the things that really made the Arkham games so much Arkham when you think of it, and just so fun. And the fact that also you had combat challenge maps that you could play, where basically you go through a wave and fight enemies and stuff and score points, and it was just a lot of fun trying to up your score. So if we don't have the free flow combat system, kind of makes me think we might not have challenge maps anymore too, which would be a big disappointment, because the Arkham games, one of the things that's always given them, to me anyway, so much replay value is the challenge maps, especially the combat ones. I can spend like hours just on those and not even playing the normal story or anything. So that takes a lot of the replay value out of the game if that's the case. And the fact that it looks like we have more of like a health bar thing, so it makes the combat look like it might be more generic than the other Arkham games. And it's one of those things where if they did get rid of it, it's kind of like, well, why? The Arkham combat is so good that honestly, I know you can't make Arkham games necessarily forever and ever, but that's one of the things that I honestly feel like every Batman game now should take that basic Arkham's combat system. And if you want to try to improve or change it a little bit, that's fine, but you should have that basic system in there. It's just too perfect not to. So that's the big negative. And like I said, the fact that you have what looks like more health bars above enemies and stuff just makes it feel more generic and more like your other RPG type games that are out there. In terms of, so that's my big concern. Hopefully, I'm wrong and we do still have that somehow. It's just I feel like you would have been able to tell the fact that kind of stood out right away. Now, in terms of positives, I know a lot of people are disappointed that you can't play as, or that Batman is supposedly dead, but I have a feeling that's not going to be the case, that he'll show up later in the game. Now, one thing I would have kind of preferred over that, though, perhaps, is having just more of almost like a Batman Beyond thing, where you could have Bruce still alive, but more as like a mentor, not actually out there fighting himself. But what I'm thinking is going to happen is that he might show up later in the game and kind of help you fight and stuff, rather than just being like a mentor training you, or in this case, we've been told he's dead. But I don't think he really is. The Court of Owls is something I've heard a lot of people talk about. Have never really read comics much, so I don't know much about them other than the fact that a lot of people think that they're a really cool villain and interesting to have in the game. So hopefully that'll turn out well. In terms of what I liked, I liked the fact that from what we saw, both the gameplay as well as the trailer, it looks like the city's going to be more busy. It looks like we saw more like cars and stuff going through the city, which is a positive, because one of the things in the Arkham games, as good as they are, that I've said, is that they needed more going on kind of in the city. That's been too the city feels too isolated with like nobody being around. It looks like there's going to be more civilians around and such. Now the thing too is there's still a lot we don't know about this game, since we haven't had an actual like press sort of preview thing where you have basically impressions, saying, talking about what's new and different compared to past games and stuff. We haven't had that kind of thing. All we've had so far is the actual gameplay, but I'm glad we got that. And it's coming out 2021. Hopefully, it'll be an early 2021 game rather than like a middle late 2021 game, but it's hard to say. But yeah, I'm just glad to know this. There have been so many teases from Warner Brothers Montreal without concrete information, so it's just glad to have that officially announced. And I also like, though, that the atmosphere looked good with all the thunder and lightning going on. When you combine that with, like I said, more cars and stuff, and Mr. Freeze and his ice and everything, it looked like it had a good atmospheric setting. Also, another thing I like is that I know a lot of people are worried that it's going to be a kind of like Marvel's Adventures, like a paid thing where they add updates and stuff, and you have to kind of pay for a live service type of thing. But I'm not sure if that's going to be the case or not. But one thing I did like is that in Batman Arkham Knight, I like the dual play, which is basically a system that they added, or a feature, into the game that was good but unused, where basically you can switch between characters kind of in the middle of combat and kind of combine to do takedowns together. And from the trailer, not that you necessarily saw going from one character to the other, but it looked like you were with someone more and saw kind of some of those takedowns. So that makes me think that this game's going to bring that feature back and actually expand and use it more, even though a lot of people are worried about it being more combined with another person online type of thing. But yeah, the fact that dual play looks to be back and perhaps used more is a very big positive. The other thing I'm kind of worried about, though, is I didn't realize it until I watched it again with the commentary from the director, and they mention when you're fighting Mr. Freeze something about he'll be different, and they if you're a level such and such compared to a different one, which that's a concern because that makes me think it's going to be one of these games where you have to kind of grind to upgrade and kind of replay missions and stuff and sort of thing, and depending on how high you've leveled up, it'll make things either easier or harder. I don't like that. I like your traditional, action adventure type game where you get some upgrades, but you don't necessarily need to be like a certain level per se. You just get more like combat upgrades, more gadgets, that kind of thing, rather than like particular levels. So that worries me. They said that. So that's just my general thoughts on that game. Like I said, overall, I'm excited, but at the same time, kind of nervous because of the lack of what looks like free flow combat might have been removed, which is a huge mistake if that's the case. Now, with Rocksteady here and how they've moved on for the Batman Arkham games, and now they're doing a Suicide Squad game, this is a game where I'm still not really sure what to think because the whole premise of playing a Suicide Squad and trying to fight Superman and maybe some other places or other heroes and stuff is something I'm not really sure the idea about. And we got a trailer, and what I do like is the trailer looked good in terms of I like the banner between the different characters that are in the game, the dialogue and the way the voices sounded and everything. And I'm glad to see some sort of action with this game. The disappointing thing though is that it's not till 2022, and we didn't see actual gameplay trailer. So because we didn't see actual gameplay, it was more just cinematic. I still don't really know how this game's gonna play. It does sound like you can switch between characters, which I like, and the fact that you're not stuck with one character on a particular mission. So if you want, you can be like Harley Quinn and then switch during the mission to Deadshot or something. You're not stuck to playing, where each mission you have to necessarily play as this character and then you beat it in the next mission or a different character or anything like that. I like that. That you're not stuck with one character. But overall, I just don't really know what to think of this game still because, like I said, it's not until 2022. We didn't see a lot of gameplay, or we didn't see any actual gameplay. But because it is made by Rocksteady, that made the three awesome Batman Arkham games, it's one of those games I'll perhaps give a chance. I just need more info. But because the Arkham games are so good, it's because the Arkham games I loved so much, and it's made by the same developer. It's one of those I'll kind of give it a chance. Just need to wait and hear more in terms of how it's actually going to look and play. Graphically, the trailer looks good, but like I said, it might have been more of like a CGI trailer. But considering Arkham Knight still looks amazing, it still looks better than the majority of PS4 games out there, even though it's kind of an older PS4 game now in a sense. Because it wasn't like towards the end when graphics tend to get better when you get towards the end of a generation. But the fact that it still looks amazing. So yeah, because of that, I'm sure this will look good. Because I think Rocksteady just knows what they're doing in terms of that. I just don't know the general premise, how much I'll enjoy it. And I thought that at the end of the trailer that was like Batman's Batarang hitting Superman, but I'm not sure if it actually was or not when the trailer like cut or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting. I've heard some people say that it has kind of a Sunset Overdrive look to it, the trailer in terms of the colors and stuff, which I would say is not a bad thing. I've never actually played Sunset Overdrive, but I've wanted to. It's about the only game on Xbox that I want to play though, and I'm not going to buy a system for one game. But I'm a big Insomniac fan, and that game I thought looked good, and I would like to play it. So if this does have kind of that similar vibe to at least the city, because it's not going to be the same considering you're playing as multiple characters compared to Sunset Overdrive where you're playing as one. But if it has kind of that general look to it, city-wise and graphically and stuff, I don't think that's a bad thing. And it's PlayStation 5, Xbox One, or Xbox Series X game, so next generation game. Only the Batman game, on the other hand, which I forgot to mention, is cross-gen, so it's on and be on the current systems as well as the next gen systems here that are coming out in a few months. So yeah, just glad to get the news on both of these games right now. I'm not really sure which game I'm personally more excited about because, like I said, with the Batman game, I'm kind of worried about a few things, and then with the Suicide Squad game, I still don't really know what to expect in terms of how the game's going to look, and people are worried that it's also going to be a live service game. Although I don't think that's going to be the case. I do think it will have a normal single player mode. I do worry a little though when you talk about adding like co-op type stuff because I do think it's a little bit hard to like develop a game that has that option and be able to still play on single player without kind of the design of the game being sort of flawed, if you will. Because I think games have to be created differently to be able to support that thing in terms of just how the enemies fight and what kind of damage they can take. I think there's a big difference between a game that's strictly single player versus a game that's got co-op options like that. So yeah, I don't know, but also I do wonder, kind of based off what they said with the Suicide Squad game, and then with what they did in the Batman Arkham Knight with dual play, switching back and being able to also kind of use special combo counters between the two characters. And with what they said in Suicide Squad, being able to switch between characters and stuff, I wonder if we're going to see something similar. So I'm wondering, like, can you, as an example, can you switch to Harley Quinn and hit someone with a baseball bat or something, and then switch to Deadpool like during that same combo and he shoots someone, or something like that? Because if that's the case, that would be cool, because that would be kind of building off of that feature they had in Night that, like I said, I felt like was a great feature but unused. But yeah, that's just my general thoughts. I'd like to see everybody's thoughts in the comments below. That's just basically my thoughts for now with Night, or with Gotham Knight, considering it's coming out next year, where the other game, Suicide Squad, is not until 2022. We'll likely get more info about Night a lot sooner than Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad, considering that's still a far way away, and a lot of times games do get delayed, there's even a chance it could get pushed to 2023. I hope that doesn't happen, and it'd be nice if it was even early 2022 game rather than the middle or late, or even getting pushed to 2023. But that's so far out, it's hard to say. It'd be nice if we at least got actual gameplay video like early next year, but I'm going to say, considering it's not until 2022, we probably won't get a gameplay video until around the summer of next year, maybe even late 2021. But I'm hoping, like I said, that we get one early with Batman, because much sooner, talking about a year plus sooner perhaps, depending on if if it's a early 21 game and the Suicide Squad game is like a late 2022 game or whatever, you could be looking at a year, I don't know, a year and a half, maybe even 2 year difference in terms of release date or something between the two games. So it's a lot further in development than Suicide Squad. So because of that, we'll likely, and the fact they already showed gameplay in Suicide Squad in, so we'll likely get some sort of written previews and such with Night much sooner, which will give us a better idea in terms of what's new and what's different or whatever from the other Batman games. And this is not the Batman Arkham game is not actually a continuation in terms of the Arkham games. It's not in that universe. I mean, it's interesting because they kind of made it almost sound like it was with the whole Batman thing, and sound like the mansion got burned down or something like at the end of Night. But at the same time, you have Batgirl who was crippled, and yet in this she's not. So it's not a sequel, obviously. Plus, they've already said it's not. It's interesting because Suicide Squad apparently is in the same universe as the Arkham games, even though it's not just simply another Batman game. Wondering how that's going to work exactly. Like, are they just going to have references to it, or what? I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting. And like I said, I just don't know which one to look forward to more at the moment. But glad to get the news on both. But yeah, as always, thanks for watching this video. I'd like to see your comments below, and I'll see you guys later. If this thing will stop recording,